Before we begin this video, we want to give a quick shout out to our new channel, Hero History. It'll have very similar videos like the ones on this channel, but for Marvel and DC Comics. Link to it is in the description below. A species' history masked in dark legend and commonly told to younglings as a scary folklore before bedtime. The Anzati people were among the most feared aliens in the Star Wars galaxy, and they had a reputation of being among the most dangerous beings to ever wander across the stars, even being genuine threats to trained Jedi Knights. A bear Anzati had the appearance of a humanoid that possessed two long tentacles from their cheeks, and usually a wide nose. However, rarely did they ever appear this way to the public, as most of the time, the Anzati disguised themselves by retracting their tentacles and altering their face to look more like a common human. They did this to better remain hidden among the towns and colonies they frequently placed themselves into, or from their perspective, the basket of livestock they were about to feast on to satiate their hunger. For when an Anzati was hungry, they preyed on other sentient beings so that they can drink their so-called soup. They did this by isolating their prey, and then using their basic mind control abilities to sedate their victim. Afterwards, they exposed their facial tentacles and used them to feast upon the brain of their meal. Usually, this was done by entering the nose of the victim, though they could also directly penetrate the skull of the head if needed. The brains and life energies were completely sucked out over a short period, leaving only a withered corpse afterwards as evidence of the meal. The so-called soup, which is what most of the Anzati called it, was actually the force energies that they consumed, as noted by the Jedi Order after they had studied the species. This revelation had some to later refer to these creatures as either space or force vampires. While many of the Anzati embedded themselves into small communities that they could secretly feast on from the inside, others roamed the galaxy as assassins, bounty hunters, or straight-up serial killers that preyed on the strongest beings they could find. As the stronger the connection the being had to the Force, the more the Anzati could feed upon. These so-called space vampires were quite dangerous to encounter, as they typically had at least 3 times the strength of most humans, capable of easily overpowering most during their meals if their natural telepathic abilities failed to sedate their prey. The average lifespan of the Anzati was in the upper hundreds, with a few documented having lived past 1,000 years. It was believed that the stronger beings they fed on, the longer they could live for. This belief led many to hunt Jedi and other powerful Force sensitives as they desired to live for eternity. Speaking of Anzati and Jedi, there were a few that became members of the Ancient Order. Perhaps the most prominent one was Jedi Master Volfe Karkko. While being trained at the temple, Karkko refrained from ever using his tentacles to feed upon the energies of another being, as it was known within his species that such an act was highly addictive. However, when he became master, Karkko desired to try feasting with his tentacles once to see what it was like, believing he was strong-willed enough to resist its highly addictive nature. Unfortunately for him, he was not strong-willed enough, as after his first taste of the soup, he became addicted and started to prey on his fellow Jedi, stealing their Force energies, and as a result becoming more powerful after every meal. After it was discovered what Karkko was doing, he was forced to flee from the temple. Understanding how dangerous a highly trained Anzati Jedi was to the galaxy at large, members of the High Council personally went out to hunt him down. A great battle took place between the council members and the empowered Anzati, but ultimately Karkko was defeated. Not wishing to execute a once great Jedi that simply fell to his species' natural instincts, the Jedi Order decided to place Karkko in stasis on a prison world of Kefex rather than kill him. The once Anzati Jedi Master remained in his stasis prison for hundreds of years until one day he was able to break out after using his mind-controlling abilities to influence the other prisoners that were imprisoned with him. A new Jedi task force was assembled to defeat Karkko, with Quinlan Vos ultimately putting the Anzati down once and for all. Also, fun fact, the guy we see smoking in the cantina during A New Hope was actually a disguised Anzati. He was a notorious bounty hunter named Danik Jericho, who was given the nickname Eater of Luck, while others just called him Death, due to his gruesome methods of killing his targets, where he was known to just straight up eat them alive, as was custom to his species. Interestingly enough, when Obi-Wan and Luke entered the cantina, Danik felt both of their powerful connections to the Force, and actually contemplated feasting on them once they left, but he decided against it after seeing Obi-Wan cut down a thug with his lightsaber, realizing that he was a Jedi Master, and that it would be too risky to prey on someone so powerful. Thanks for watching this video. Help support the channel by becoming a member on our Patreon page, and be sure to subscribe for more videos like this one. And as always, may the Force be with you.